The scent of freshly baked bread filled the air, wrapping the streets of Berlin in a comforting embrace. The bakery, a modest yet renowned establishment, stood as a symbol of resilience, of survival, of a past that could never be erased but had given birth to something beautiful. Behind the counter stood Angel, a man with a gentle face and kind eyes, a man whose hands kneaded dough with the same tenderness that had once saved a life, his own. One evening, as the bakery hummed with customers, a young journalist approached Angel, intrigued by the whispers of his past. She had heard tales of his survival, of his unwavering kindness, and tonight, she had come seeking the truth. Angel, people say you are a man of great wisdom, that your survival during the war holds a lesson for us all. Will you share it with me? She asked, her voice both hesitant and eager. Angel sighed, his gaze drifting to the flickering candle by the window. Memories, long buried but never forgotten, stirred within him. Do you know why I'm alive today? He began, his voice steady yet heavy with the weight of history. The bakery quieted as those nearby turned their attention toward him. Even the scent of cinnamon and warm dough could not compete with the gravity of the story about to unfold. I was just a teenager when the world turned against me. The Nazis were rounding up Jews without mercy, and I was among those taken to Auschwitz. We were herded onto a train like cattle, crammed into metal cars with no space to move, no food, and no water. The night was unbearably cold. Snowflakes slipped through the cracks in the wooden panels, melting on our numb skin. The wind howled through the tiny gaps, slicing through our already weakened bodies. His hands trembled slightly as he kneaded the dough before him, the motion grounding him in the present even as his mind wandered back to that harrowing night. There were hundreds of us in that train car, all suffering, all barely clinging to life. Hunger gnawed at our stomachs, but the cold was the real enemy. It drained the life from us, minute by minute. Beside me sat an old man from my city, a kind soul who had once been a respected scholar. His frail body shivered uncontrollably, his teeth chattering, his breath shallow. He was slipping away. I don't know what came over me, but I couldn't let him die. I wrapped my arms around him, pressing my body against his, trying to share what little warmth I had. My hands rubbed his back, his arms, his legs, anything to keep the blood flowing. My own fingers were stiff, nearly frozen, but I didn't stop. I whispered to him, pleaded with him to hold on, to stay alive just a little longer. The night dragged on, an endless battle against death. My body ached. Exhaustion threatened to pull me into the abyss, but I kept going. I had to. When the first light of dawn crept through the cracks of the train car, I lifted my head and looked around. Horror gripped my heart. The floor was littered with bodies, frozen in their last moments. Silence filled the car. Death had claimed nearly everyone. But then, a weak cough beside me broke through the stillness. The old man, he was alive, and so was I. Angel paused, his gaze meeting the journalist's, his words sinking deep into her soul. Do you see? He continued, his voice softer now but no less powerful. He survived because I kept him warm, but I survived because I had someone to keep warm. The baker remained silent. Customers were lost in the weight of his words. Even the journalist, who had come prepared to hear a story of survival, found herself holding back tears. Life is not meant to be lived in isolation. We are meant to lift each other up and share our warmth, whether through kindness, love, or simple acts of humanity. That, my dear, is the secret to survival. When you warm the hearts of others, you warm yourself. When you support, strengthen, and encourage others, you will receive the same in your life. The journalist swallowed hard, the meaning behind his words settling deep within her. Angel, your story, it's more than survival. It's a lesson in humanity. Angel smiled, his face lined with years of wisdom and pain, but also peace. Indeed, my dear. Now, tell me, would you like to try a fresh loaf of bread? It's best when shared. As the warmth of the bakery enveloped them, the journalist knew she would carry his story forever, not just as an article to be written, but as a truth to be lived. And so, the scent of bread and the echoes of kindness filled the air, reminding all who entered that sometimes, the simplest gestures, like sharing warmth on a cold night, can mean the difference between life and death.